All right, thanks for tuning in to our post-game video. Certainly a very disappointing loss for Penn State at Minnesota, 31-26. Neil, Penn State came into this game number 4 in the college football playoff ranking. Tremendous goals for this season, maybe to make the playoff for the first time. We wondered if Minnesota was for real. And you know what? Minnesota came out and really played a good game and beat Penn State.
Yeah, I do give credit to Minnesota. They got their receivers open. They ran the ball. They were ready to play. They deserved to win. I think the team that deserved to win today did. And I don't want to get split hairs.
Well, I agree with that, but let me ask this, because here's what often comes down. There are a lot of Penn State fans out there who are going to say Penn State lost this game. I think Minnesota...
Well, they contributed to it.
Yeah, that's true. I think Minnesota won this game. How would you differentiate between those two statements?
Okay. I think that Minnesota won this game, but I think Penn State was a very willing accomplice. I don't really think Penn State was particularly ready to play. They did not get off to a good start. They were poor in the red zone. They got down when they were still trying to stem the tide. It's 14-7. They get down 3rd and 3 at the 10-yard line. They're going to take a delay of game penalty. Yeah. They spiked the football at the other end and wasted down. They go for 2 earlier. I mean, that's the kind of call that if you make it, it's an okay call, and if you don't, it's not. But they went against, most people don't start chasing the points until later in the game. Yeah. And had they gotten the extra point, they might have been in a position for a touchdown and a 2-point conversion then to still be in the game. But I think they were their receivers were horrendous. I mean, other than Hamler, this has become a big problem now. You don't have a reliable other wide receiver than Hamler, and of course Firemuth did a nice job. So I think there were a lot of things that Penn State contributed to.
Sure. And Minnesota came out, their quarterback was 18 for 20 for 330. I mean, he was putting the ball on the money. Their guys were making terrific catches. And I just want to point out, because this is where we kind of get in with James Franklin a little bit. One of the knocks on James Franklin is he'll lose some big games, or lose some games like this where the team's not ready to play. I don't think they were particularly ready to play. Despite not playing all that well, they still had a chance to win the game. But I thought P.J. Fleck from Minnesota coached a marvelous game. He made one mistake, I think, on 2nd down near the end of the game, running out the clock. He had his quarterback drop back to throw instead of just running. He was sacked for 10 games. It almost cost him. But I just think Minnesota's coaches out-coached and outperformed Penn State today.
Yeah, and so when you get back to your original question, did Penn State lose this game? They contributed to it. Yeah, look, both teams had an open date. Minnesota's doing a flea flicker. Really, I mean, Penn State, this is supposed to be a great defense. Where was the secondary? I mean, they were torched in the secondary. They had a guy catch 7 or 8 balls for 200 yards. You can't feel good about it. Now, they played better after the first quarter, but still, I think Minnesota, again, deserved to win. More ready after their open date than Penn State was. Penn State's without their best player for the first series.
Yeah, Mike Parsons. Minnesota is 9-0 for the first time since 1904. Let me just take a step back for some perspective. All you Penn State fans that are up against the ledge right now say, oh, you're all angry because this ruins the play. Think about the haves and the have-nots of college football. This is a tough loss. This is a disappointing loss.
Sure.
This probably knocks Penn State out of the playoff, although if they beat Ohio State, they'll at least still have a shot. But Minnesota comes in, they win a game, they're 9. This was Minnesota's Super Bowl. This might have been Super Bowl 70 for James Franklin, but this was Minnesota's true Super Bowl. And that's where I do think, when you say that, when we talk about who deserved to win the game, I just we have to remember to give the other guy credit.
Well, I'd say Minnesota, the first thing we said, Minnesota deserved to win this game. And I do feel good for them because they've been kind of in the group of have-nots over the years. But yet, this have-not has really caused some problems for the have, meaning Penn State.
Really? Hey, you've seen a lot of them. Why has Minnesota been able to hand Penn State some really crushing losses?
Well, I mean, it'll never get worse than 99 because this team, I think, was still ahead of schedule. To be 8-1, as you say, back off the ledge. To be 8-1 is still a pretty good achievement, especially if they can beat Indiana and go into Ohio State 9-1. Still probably better than most people figured. But when you tease everybody and you raise the stakes and you get to 8-1 and you allow 200 yards in the first quarter, now you're going to live with this loss. But Minnesota's been that troublesome opponent, even when they haven't beaten Penn State in devastating fashion, including today. They've really made them struggle. They've really been in a lot of close games, and I don't know what it is. Is it a geographic thing when you're going out to Iowa, far trip, Wisconsin, you know you're running into a pretty good football tradition? Maybe Penn State hasn't collectively, body of work, taken Minnesota as seriously over the years. And this now spans through multiple coaching staffs.
I think there are problems with this offense. Both Pat Freiermuth and Sean Clifford defended Ricky Ronnie after the game. I will admit, I probably have been more critical of Ricky Ronnie than most people in the media over the past couple of years. I don't think the play calling is really all that good. They talk about the sense of urgency. This offense is such a big play or bust kind of off. I love that they take a lot of shots downfield. Joe Moorhead implemented that. Ricky Ronnie has carried that forward. I just think some of the play calling in key situations, you're running Devin Ford into the line of scrimmage twice, and then Sean Clifford, is running into the line of scrimmage inside the 10. They defended Ricky Ronnie, but I think that we can place a lot of blame on the defense, but I think Penn State's offense has got to come out and do that.
To me, it was a collective effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the defense can't get torched like it was,
right,
and feel and point fingers at the offense. And Ronnie, to me, the delay a game down there where you have a chance to tie the game and go 14-14, kind of weather that early storm, the spike, those are the things that I think fall at the feet of them. Not being ready to have a play when you had some tempo. You went 3 chunk plays in a row down to the 10, and then they're looking at the sideline. You went away from the tempo. But I'll defend Ronnie in the sense, hey, they come out, they throw the ball to Justin Shorter right away, drops it. Okay, then they throw it deep to Justin Shorter, and he gets outfought by Winfield for an interception. Then Justin Shorter drops a touchdown pass. So this is a 5-star recruit. So sometimes it's not just the coaches, but the contributing parts.
Yeah, good point. And this is a tough loss. This probably takes away a lot of the goals for the season. They can beat Ohio State and still go to the Big Ten championship game. So it's still there, but they can't let this.
I'm kind of laughing at that though, because I mean, for what reason would they think they can go to Columbus? Ohio State pretty much leads everybody 42-0 at halftime. So to me, you better be ready to beat Indiana before you want to start thinking about Ohio State. And maybe they were. There's been a lot of distractions this season. You're on an HBO special in the middle of the year. The college football rankings come out. You're number 4 and during an open date. I'm just not so sure they've handled all that. You had to suspend a team leader last week for spitting on somebody. There's just been a little cumulative effect that I think ultimately may have contributed and caught up to this team today.
All right, I agree with all that. Very well said. All right, thanks for tuning into our video.